All right. Just wanted to talk a bit about the vendor changes from the most recent wipe patch and my experience with them after going pretty hard over the last like day and a half, setting up a bunch of characters to do flipping of the vendor items to make some gold. And it's not going to be like a very in-depth video or guide or anything on specific prices and what things are worth and price checking or anything like that. I'll go over certain pieces here and there, like certain stats are pretty set in value, but a lot of the prices are changing pretty often, and I'm still kind of learning some of the stuff, especially for classes that I haven't really played. So it's more of just an overall the vendors and what to look for and what I've been doing and what's been working type thing. The idea is simple overall. You buy good items from a vendor, you sell them to a player, you make money. A lot of people doing it. I'm sure a lot of people are just like on their main character. They check every so often. They go, "Oh, that's a good item. I could sell that." They buy it. They sell it. Um, but the main thing is, I think there's probably a decent amount of people that are sleeping on how easy it is to get a character set up to start making money off of it. If you have extra 15 plus level characters, since this wipe didn't reset levels to level 1. And it's pretty cheap too to get started. Like, you kind of just need a few hundred gold, really. You can start higher and it's better, but like really just a few hundred gold. So essentially you just need to play on a character, get one extract done, and make it out with like 40 gold so that you can become a trader. You can do one trade fee. And then you need a friend or someone to help you, but you just transfer some gold from your main character that might have some extra over to your new vendor mule that's just gonna start flipping and making their own money. I personally started my characters with like, I think depending on the character is like somewhere 500 to 700, maybe 800 gold and like 30 to 50 candy corn, just so I could get those as well if they showed up good items. But you don't need quite that much. But I think that's a pretty good point to start off if you want to get right into just basically being able to get whatever you are offered. That's good. Now, I'm going to go through what I've been doing, checking the vendors each reset whenever I'm looking through them and kind of highlight what's been working for me and what has been of note. Mostly what I'm looking for is I want stuff that sells fast. I don't want to be sitting on items, so like there's certain things that are technically worth it, but they take a while to sell and I don't want to sit and trade trying to sell them. So I'm ignoring a decent amount of those. I'm ignoring a lot of the vendor crafts because one, a lot of these materials are a pain to acquire, which takes time. I want to kind of be done quickly. Just like go through a check. I think I can do a check of like all the stuff I'm looking for on a given character in about a minute or so. Not like looking at every single item, even though almost every single item offered could be potentially profitable. There's certain things that are less likely to hit good rolls, and I'm ignoring a lot of those. And I would say probably like 40-ish% of the time when I'm buying something, or I'm going through a reset rather, on any given character, I probably buy something like 40% of the time. And I'm not necessarily flipping all of it. I'm holding on to like good rogue gear because that's what I've been playing a lot of, but like I could sell those as well. But if I include those in the total, it's probably like 40-ish%. There's like something to. So Alchemist is literally I just look at spell books. And spell books are actually kind of tricky because I think he seems to offer quite a lot of decent spell books pretty often, which has led to the market's pretty saturated. Like initially, I was buying any spellbook with +2 all stats because that's really good on a spellbook. But if it's a blue one with +2 all and then not a good second stat, you actually can barely usually get your 100 gold back because there's so many people selling them. What is good on spellbooks for wizards is like plus flat magic damage, which goes up to +4. But wizards aren't really buying a lot of gear; it's kind of slow. The biggest thing is plus magical healing, which goes up to +3, and that's where you make a lot of money off warlocks. Like a +3 green spellbook is like 200 to maybe 250 gold. Armor, I actually don't check any of this stuff It's possibly worth it to mouse over the like barbarian, these northern full tunics and the Viking helmets, but I actually haven't even been looking at any of this stuff because a lot of the plate just is slow to sell and doesn't make very much. But what I do check is the ruby silver, since it's very expensive stuff to make, but if you hit a really good one, the margins are really high. And unlike a lot of the other crafted stuff, getting ruby silver ingots is really fast. Like you just go into the trade and there's a ton getting posted nonstop. Um, but it's pretty rare that you find things. And honestly, I think the chests, the pants can be good because if you get some +2 wall and some other good stuff, it's really good. And the boots, I think I've crafted 2 pairs maybe because the boots have 3 strength built in. I think it makes people more willing to spend high amounts on it than something like these gloves. Like you could have boots and gloves with identical stats, and you know it's like they're bis gloves or bis boots, but the gloves don't have any extra stat. That extra strength on the boots, I think, makes people more willing to spend more, in my experience. So something to keep in mind as well. But most of the plate stuff is like plus all stats is good, plus armor is very good. And then for fighters, things like strength adds you weapon damage, or for clerics, like knowledge, or mostly just the defensive stats, all stats. Uh, Fortune teller obviously doesn't have anything to flip. Goblin, uh, the only thing I think is really like consistently good on the goblin is rings of courage, the strength rings. I do believe in the long term, ring of resolve, which is the will base, and then ring of quickness for the agi ones, you probably make profit on them because when you hit a big one, it's going to be worth a lot. But my metric for rings is if I can sell a blue one with bad stats for 100 gold, then it's worth it. So like a blue ring of resolve that just has the 2 will and nothing else doesn't really sell for 100 gold. But a ring of courage with 2 strength and nothing else, they generally sell for 100 gold. So I've been ignoring rings of resolve. I have been buying the agility ones since again I've been playing rogue and I can just use them if they're bad. It's whatever. I'll take a little bit of a loss on that. But realistically, I think ring of courage is like the one true big thing on goblin overall. Goblin's really quick. Just click them, look for ring, boom. Candy guy is just mousing over items and looking for really good stats. I'll ignore things like a hand crossbow. I'm probably not going to check. A lot of these two-handers, I'm like very briefly skimming over. A base like a rogue cowl that has no implicit stat, it's completely pointless to check. And like bard instruments and a lot of bard gear in general, I kind of ignore. So like this one, check the rapier, check the warden outfit. This costs 80 candy, so it's almost guaranteed bricked. Viking helmet's good. Riveted gloves are really good. Armit's good to check. All the plate gear is at least good to look at. Loose trousers are really good. Cloth pants are useless because again, like they don't have any implicit stat on them. Oracle rope's good to check. Are good to check. Nothing really exciting in here. And so that's like kind of a lot of the bigger value stuff, and then we get to the ones that are more consistent, which is the leathersmith and tailor. And skim across. We got weapon damage pants, but they're the wrong base because that's a knowledge base. Weapon damage on a leather cap, but leather cap is only for usually wizard stats for the most part. +1 all +2 weapon damage for 40 gold on a pair of old shoes. Old shoes aren't a great base, but on boots you can kind of get away with it. And those are really good stats, +1 all and +2 weapon damage, so definitely buy that. +1 magic healing. I think you can make profit on this. +1 healing, but it's like very small. You really want to get the +2 healing rolls for warlocks to dish out decent amounts of money for it. For the tailor. Check through all this. Nothing particularly exciting. The tailor is one of the other ones that I will check the crafts on. I've been mousing the Cloak of Darkness. This is really expensive to make though, and I don't know if it's ever really going to be worth it. Robe of Darkness I think you can do pretty well on. I've seen the spider silks. I don't know what they're at right now, but I think you can get them for around 150 gold, and then dark fabrics are probably 50 gold or less. Like maybe 300-ish gold to make one of these. And if it hits +2 all with like some other good stat, it could be good. I've been mousing over the ruby silver vestments and doublet, but I don't think I would ever actually really make them. And that's all I check. I don't check any of the leathersmith's crafts, even though there is some good stuff like these magic healing base pants, but like getting centaur tail can be annoying. And the same thing like the gloves, like they could be good. And maybe if I was playing a warlock, I would check these because it's like, oh, I could use them. But it's just annoying stuff to get, and I don't want to spend a super long time. I don't really check the weaponsmith because weapons seem to be pretty cheap to just buy in my experience so far, so you can make profit off of these for sure. And then the legendary weapons you can definitely also make profit off, but I just want to be done pretty quickly. That's all I do is like alchemist for books, armorer for ruby silver, check the goblin for ring, check jack-o'-lantern, and then leathersmith, tailor, and a couple of the tailor crafted, and I'm done. And I'll go to my next character if I'm checking more. And it's pretty quick. So like this one I got one item. Actually pretty dang good boots, even though it's a bad base. They're really well statted. My experience with the different stuff so far, what I would say is barb gear is an extremely high demand. Like anything that's just right below plate, the barb tier stuff, so like heavy leather boot or leggings, heavy boots, you know, the northern tunics, the Vikings, all the like top tanky barb stuff, riveted gloves as well, which I don't have a pair on my vendor right now. They sell really fast, and barbs are just like, if we go to trade, you can see I think it's the most populated. Oh, not at the moment, but it's gotten up there where it's like even surpassing fighter with the most people in the trade at any given time. And barbarian players are paying super high amounts of gold for stuff, which I'll go over a little bit more in a minute. Yeah, stuff that doesn't have implicit stats is basically ignored outside of boots, because boots don't really have implicit stats other than I think the lace turn shoes, which is just resourcefulness. A lot of wizard gear that I'll see on the tailor, unless I know it's like really good, I might skip, even though I know I could make some money off it, because wizard gear is pretty slow to sell right now. Not a lot of people playing wizard, buying wizard stuff. I pretty much ignore bard stuff entirely because it's just slow to sell and not worth much. And I think that about covers all of it. So for trading, I'm going to just go over class by class, what has worked and what people seem to be willing to pay for and buy quickly. Fighters obviously want tanky plate gear, plus armor is like the best stat, alongside plus all attributes, and then things like plus strength, plus agi, plus weapon damage. I'd say barbarians, again, they want that like heavy, just under plate tier of like leather gear, and they really like plus all attributes. Plus armor is also very popular on barbs now. Like green items, any green like heavy leather legs or riveted gloves or whatever with just plus armor or heavy boots will sell. Like, you can buy like gloves with plus armor for I think like 30 gold on the vendor, and someone will buy it for like 100. But then they also like agi, and then surprisingly, or not surprisingly, but I think like lesser known is like action speed and armor pen seem to do pretty well with barbarians. Rogues just want flat damage and strength and all attributes basically, and then similar with ranger. Wizards want all attributes. Wizards want flat magic damage, but again, wizard stuff sells pretty slow. Clerics either want similar to fighter with the tanky plate stuff, or they want things with all attributes and like knowledge. I haven't really done much of selling cleric weapons like maces, because I just don't check the weaponsmith, and my candy guy hasn't gotten any, but I don't think you make a lot off of those. Again, bard I ignore, and then warlock. Warlock, for the most part, it's all about magic healing. Like, you can get really good warlock stuff, like a warlock chest with +2 wall and some flat magic, and it might be worth less than a green one with +3 magic healing. Someone will buy it, but really, for warlock, it's what people are paying for. It's all about the magic healing. And yeah, I think that covers the whole thing. Some ending notes. I don't really think it's healthy for the game that I can just check on all these different characters over and over on the vendors and get all these items. Mostly because, especially in a future, if they keep the vendors this way in a future wipe where levels do get reset, people might start to feel like they need to level characters just for the sake of checking vendors to fuel their main or whatever. which gives me like bad MMO vibes of leveling alts to funnel to your main character. I'm doing it right now because the levels didn't reset and I had leveled a bunch of classes in preparation for the patch to see what I wanted to play. Um, I do think that the vendors are in an awesome state right now, but it should probably be per account. Honestly, the at least the gear. It might need to still be per character, or maybe they would need to make a new vendor for things like potions and consumables. But for gear, it should probably be resetting every 30 minutes once per account, and not once per character. But since it's currently per character right now, yeah, it's pretty easy money. You can do it while you're doing other stuff. Would recommend, and it's a kind of nice way to get a lot of gear. Like I have a lot of gear on my stash on this rogue, and the vast majority of this, with the exception of shadow masks, because the vendors don't sell them ever, and then like weapons, I think all of this is just vendor purchase stuff that I just got over like a day. So it's a lot less time spent sitting in trade filtering for a specific item with specific stat and just sitting there. It's actually quicker and to me more enjoyable. But that's a video. Just kind of wanted to share and talk. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.